May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other. As I light the chalice here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you at home to light yours as well. And let us be aware that as we do so, we are rekindling the bonds of community. Welcome, one and all. I'm glad you have joined in worship today with the community of the First Unitarian Church of Omaha. I'm Sherry Woodbury, the church's minister. From now through early February, we have returned to gathering online only on Sundays. This is for safety reasons amid the Omicron surge and because of an exciting upgrade to our streaming technology that is taking place in our beautiful sanctuary. Some of that has just been installed and we're starting to use it, but it's not yet optimized, so thanks for bearing with us today. This morning we share a mini worship service, then we will roll right into our mid-year congregational meeting. Visitors may not want to stay for that meeting, although you can learn a lot about a congregation by the way it communicates and makes decisions, and you're welcome to stay and listen if you choose. Each person who is a member in good standing and wants to be counted for the quorum later and included in voting, please make sure your full name appears there on your little Zoom box so that we can be sure and include you. But for now, back to worship. This congregation is a community of all ages and abilities, a community with a rainbow of gender and sexual identities, a community of diverse cultural and class backgrounds. We draw from many sources of inspiration and share common liberal religious values. Whoever you may be, we welcome you to bring your whole self into this community. Each week we acknowledge that where we meet for worship as the First Unitarian Church of Omaha is the land of the Omaha Oto Nations, and that Indigenous people in the greater community have become marginalized and made invisible. May we recognize their presence among us and work with them to resolve issues of poverty, displaced children, and murdered and missing Indigenous women, the MMIW. And now for our opening song. One of the gifts of an all-virtual worship service right now is that we can all sing hymns together again. So you can join in number 1, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door, with singers from the Early Morning Risers. Please be sure you are muted, and the lyrics will be shown.
Nothing evil cross this door, and may a fortune never pry about these windows. May the roar and rain go by. By faith made strong, the rafters will withstand the battering of the storm. This heart, though all the world grow chill, will keep you warm. Peace shall walk softly through these rooms, touching our lips with holy wine, till every casual corner blooms into a shrine. With laughter drown the raucous shout, and though these sheltering walls are thin, may they be strong to keep hate out and hold love in.
Let us turn now to the sharing of joys and concerns. I'll begin with an item submitted in advance, and you can also put in the chat anything you'd like me to lift up into the community. Both members and visitors, young and old, are welcome to participate in sharing joys and concerns. A celebration of life service for church member Steve Rabine will be held this winter. Beth has postponed it from the original mid-January date amid the Omicron surge. We'll keep you posted as we are able to move forward in the future. And let's see what we've got in the chat. Don't be shy. I can share a joy from my family. My daughter turned 12, can't believe it, on January 1st, so time flies. What other milestones do we have out there? Surgeries, birthdays, anything you want to share? Give it a moment here. Lita shares that Lucas has only 4 credits to go until he graduates high school. Wow, that's exciting. Thanks for sharing that, Lita. And Jessica Eamon shares a joy. Eleanor and Meredith, the twins, are both crawling and standing all the time. Wonderful. Bruce Godfrey shares that Alan Godfrey graduated from UNO with a degree in English. Go, Alan. Kate and Tila share that a stomach bug went through their house, affecting 3 out of the 4 family members, but everyone is doing better now, and all are thankful. I see that. And Dave Rosser shares that Evie Rosser is ill, so we send Evie healing wishes, and we'll keep her in our thoughts. And Carrie Helmberger is glad to now be COVID-free. I know we have several folks who've had breakthrough infections recently and are glad to be on the other side of that. Douglas Lee Regier shares that Krissa is doing well on her meditation retreat in India. I believe Terry Lynn Brewer is on a virtual meditation retreat this week as well. Wonderful. Well, thank you all for sharing those joys and concerns. It's a wonderful way to stay connected with one another as a community. And our caring team and I, as your minister, am also available to support people one-on-one as things come up. Let's see. Every week, we take up an offering in support of our liberal religious values. For January, we are focusing on restoring dignity, an agency that serves refugee families in the Omaha area. They help with housing advocacy, home makeovers, furniture and household donations, COVID-19 support, information in multiple languages, and referrals to other agencies. Omaha has a very large population of resettled refugees from many different countries and language backgrounds, and the initial services from resettlement agencies do not provide the ongoing support that is needed. Restoring Dignity helps with a focus on education and advocacy. You'll see links with more information and how to donate in the chat. And during the music from Stan, I invite you to give with a generous heart as you are able.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I just wanted to say this song is called Willow Weep for Me, and it's written by Ann Ronell, who was a graduate of Omaha North High School, one of the few early big-time woman composers in jazz. So it's pretty cool that it came from Omaha, and I wanted you to know.
A few months ago, a friend on social media shared an experience that stuck with me. She said, "I was sitting here on a dune by the sea, paying attention to the seagrass and the yellow wildflowers and a thicket of yucca plants. And it occurs to me that while all I see are a couple of butterflies, which would be enough, likely there are 1,000,000 critters in that dense thicket. So I asked Siri, how many insects are there in an acre of land?" Now, I don't know, this is me, I don't know what Siri actually sounds like, but I imagine her sounding like Majel Barrett, voice of the Star Trek computer, when she answers, "There's an average of 400 million insects per acre of land. The estimated ratio of insects to humans is 200 million to 1. 200 million to 1. How does one react to such a fact? My friend wrote, "What never ceases to amaze me is how much is going on in this world that we can't possibly ever see." At the time, I shared in the sense of wonder and mystery at such a fact. 400 million insects per acre of land. 400 million insects, almost all of whom I would not notice walking through that land. But right now, I also have a feeling of worry and sadness as I remember this story. Because along with unseen ants in the soil and the anonymous beetles on high bark, I know there are also so many people tucked away in their homes and homeless people trying to stay warm behind bushes. I know that what's in the hearts, minds, bodies of even the people around me that I do see is more often than not hidden from me. And if the small sample that does share their feelings with me is any indication, a majority of those humans are feeling some level of isolation or unease. We keep figuring out how to deal with the pandemic in terms of medical risk management, or at least public health officials continue to keep us abreast of the situation and our knowledge as it develops. So now, for example, some school districts who weren't this fall have gone back to masking, at least for a while. Hospitals are raising the bar for masks to combat the highly infectious Omicron variant. And by the way, a good surgical mask, which I'm hearing people wonder about, as I am told from our task force, is a 3-ply or better mask. You can double up with a cloth mask on top to make it even more secure. A KN95 or N95 with no vents is also great, if they fit well. This is what we're asking for from anyone who comes to the church for a small group gathering at this time. So anyway, at least a portion of society is plodding along, trying to keep up and follow the most current recommendations for vaccinations, boosters, masks, and all the rest of it. The masks are easy to see. But I worry equally about the pandemic of loneliness. Isolation is just as insidious as the virus, yet it gets far less attention. A fall 2021 Harvard report captures how the epidemic of loneliness that already existed in the US before has increased substantially since the pandemic began. Loneliness among elders has long been a concern. The report found that now over 60% of young adults aged 18 to 25 suffer serious loneliness. Over 60% of young adults, as do over 50% of mothers of young children. And middle-aged adults in the throes of family life are not immune either. One can be very busy working and caring for others, and yet lack real social supports for oneself. Even when you have plenty of time and have figured out how to safely connect with others during this COVID era, which of course is a moving target, you may find that your social skills have atrophied, or that being around people kicks up some anxiety. I get it. As hard as loneliness can be, building relationships takes energy too. It can feel easier just to stay in our cocoons. But each of us needs and deserves real, fulfilling connections with other people. especially as we face another surge, and this has gone on for so long. It seems to me that this presents a real challenge. How can I continue to be responsible for myself and for the wider community and how I conduct myself? And yet, how can I also maintain the social connections that are vital to human happiness? I had managed to relax some over the fall and early winter months and acclimate to more face-to-face interaction with people, with many of you, and it felt so good. But as I watched local COVID numbers skyrocket to their highest level of the entire pandemic recently, I felt my body and my brain moving back in the direction of self-protection, of anxiety and avoidance. I thought maybe I should just hole up for the winter and wait for it to pass. Anyone else have that reaction? You can give a little thumbs up in your screen for anybody who's on gallery view if you've been feeling that way. It was an instinct reasserting itself. I was reminded of someone else who approaches the world that way, with the instinct to stay home, plan carefully, play it safe. His example inspired me earlier in the pandemic because he was able to find some balance between safety and engaging with the world. Perhaps you remember him. His name is Scaredy Squirrel. We heard the first of the Scaredy Squirrel stories in worship last summer, back when I thought it was almost over. It turns out Scaredy Squirrel has more wisdom to offer, this time about social connection. I wanted to share the story with you in a way that you could see the pictures, and here we all are on Zoom, so I gave a go at recording a video that shows you the pictures as I tell you the story, and Catherine is going to share that with you on the screen.
Share with you a story called Scaredy Squirrel Makes a Friend by Melanie Watt. You might remember another story we shared about Scaredy Squirrel last summer, and I like this one too. Scaredy Squirrel doesn't have a friend. He'd rather be alone than risk encountering someone dangerous. A squirrel could get bitten. A few individuals Scaredy Squirrel is afraid to be bitten by: beavers, walruses, bunnies, piranhas, and Godzilla. So Scaredy Squirrel finds interesting ways to pass the time all by himself. He reads, it's a fun book. He whistles. He knits. He chats with his sock puppet. He crafts. He yawns. He counts. Until one day he spots someone perfectly safe. It's a goldfish. Perfect friend, according to Scaredy Squirrel, has a bubbly personality, is quiet, no teeth, squeaky clean, and germ-free. This friend doesn't do much, but is 100% safe. A few items Scaredy Squirrel needs to make the perfect friend: lemon, name tag, mittens, comb, mirror, air freshener, toothbrush, and chew toy. How to make perfect first impression: prepare freshly squeezed lemonade. Make sure name tag is visible. Tame bad hair. Brush teeth thoroughly and practice smile. Check for nutty breath and food caught between teeth. Wear mittens to hide sweaty paws. Scaredy Squirrel must be nervous. Use pine scent to smell delightful, and follow perfect plan. Now here's the perfect plan. They get from where Scaredy Squirrel is in the nut tree to the fountain where the goldfish is. Step 1, toss down chew toy to distract biters. Step 2, use mirror to check hair and teeth. Step 3, run to fountain. Step 4, point to name tag and smile. Step 5, offer lemonade. And step 6, make the perfect friend. Now, Scaredy Squirrel also has some tips of what not to do. Don't talk to suspicious bunnies. Stay away from piranha-infested ponds. Beware of walruses. They're fast on their flippers. Avoid beavers. They could snap at any moment. And watch out for Godzilla for obvious reasons. But let's just say, for example, that Scary Squirrel did come face to face with a potential biter. He knows exactly what not to do. Do not show fear. Do not show your fingers. Do not make eye contact. Do not make any loud noises. And if all else fails, of course, play dead. And hand over the test. Scaredy's risk test includes, who are you? Walrus, bunny, beaver, piranha, Godzilla, or other. How many teeth do you have? 2, 10, 32, 100, 1,000, or more. What's your hobby? You can check either biting or other. And what do you see in this squirrel shape? Friend or something to bite? With every detail under control, Scaredy Squirrel puts the plan into action. First, he tosses the chew toy. Then he heads down the tree. Everything is perfect until he hears a strange sound coming from behind. Squeak! And he realizes it's a dog! This was not part of the plan. The dog chases Scaredy around the bush, around the fountain, and around in circles until Scaredy Squirrel plays dead. 30 minutes later, 1 hour later, 2 hours later, still playing dead. After all this time, Scaredy Squirrel realizes the dog doesn't want to bite him. He just wants a friend. So they play fetch. Scaredy Squirrel points to his name tag and smiles. Then he starts chasing his new buddy. Oh, and then they play fetch. They play hide and seek, and they play dead. Scaredy Squirrel forgets all about the goldfish, not to mention the walruses, bunnies, beavers, piranhas, and Godzilla. Time flies when you're having fun. All this excitement inspires Scaredy Squirrel to make a few minor changes to his idea of a friend. My almost perfect friend, according to Scaredy Squirrel. This friend has muddy paws, a wet doggy smell, loud bark, old drool, a tooth, germs. 83% safe, but lots of fun. P.S. As for the wet doggy smell, it's been taken care of. We end. That was a story by Melanie Watt.
Scaredy Squirrel reminds me that connection comes in many forms. My friends and our shared pastimes don't have to be cosmopolitan. Hide and seek, even running around a bush can be fun. And Scaredy Squirrel reminds me to be intentional. I don't expect to make a perfect first impression when I make a friend here in Nebraska. And I'm not going to go so far as to write up a 6-step plan for making said new friend. But I am committing myself to reaching out to friends regularly and scheduling some fun into my life. Whether you are new or have been around here a long time, I hope the church can be a place for you to build supportive relationships and even have some fun. Come to worship when you can, however works for you, and feel a part of community. Share your joys and concerns. Maybe you'd like to contribute to projects like our sponsorship of an Afghan refugee family. You'll hear more about that in a couple of weeks. And plug into one or more of our many small groups that help to forge connections. By the way, fun will be had at a game night that our membership coordinator, Carrie Helmberger, is planning for Friday, January 21st at 7 p.m. That may become an online event at this point, so watch our communications for details. We had young adults in mind when we planned it, realizing how many are lonely, but the young at heart of any age are welcome to join in, and that includes visitors. Whatever kind of connection you crave, I invite you to make it one of your intentions or resolutions for this new year to bring those connections to life, to make new friends and keep the old, keeping an open mind about sloppy dogs and even suspicious bunnies. My hope is that even if you are often physically alone during this next month or two, you will be connected enough to others that you do not feel lonely. May it be so. Amen. We have a favorite song for you to enjoy as we transition into the mid-year congregational meeting. If you need a stretch break, the song is about 4 minutes, and then Board President Catherine Plumley will open the meeting. And of course, feel free to sing along.
Hold on to me as we go, as we roll down this unfamiliar road.
Although this wave is stringing us along, just know you're not alone. You're gonna make this place your